Part 1. Betrayal and Fall. The illusion of a perfect partnership. The afternoon sun streamed through the studio's skylight, casting dappled shadows across the floor. Lena squatted before her easel, carefully wiping the paint stains from the edge of the canvas with a soft cloth. The air was filled with the combined scent of turpentine and linseed oil, the flavor of her life with Marcus. "Look at that color combination," Marcus said, gently wrapping his arm around her waist from behind, his chin resting on the crown of her head. "You always find the perfect balance." His fingertips traced the cobalt blue gradient across the canvas, his tone filled with admiration. Lena turned and gazed at the man with the deepest eyes before her, her heart still skipping a beat. 3 years ago, in the art school gallery, he'd been explaining Mondrian's geometric aesthetics to her in his paint-stained overalls, his eyes gleaming. At that moment, she knew she had met her soulmate. "I've already turned down the jury meeting next week." Lena brushed the strands of hair from his forehead, her fingertips touching his warm skin. "Your solo exhibition is the most important thing right now." Marcus' eyes lit up, and he cupped her face and kissed her passionately. "I knew you'd support me, Lena. If this exhibition is a success, we'll go to Tuscany and build our own studio in an olive grove." Lena smiled and nodded, pulling the promotion letter from the Museum of Modern Art from her pocket and calmly tucking it deep into a drawer. To her, nothing was more important than Marcus's dream. To prepare for this exhibition, she had not only mortgaged her parents' apartment, but also mobilized all her connections, even convincing the notoriously demanding gallery director, Mr. Allen, to reserve the prime exhibition space downtown for Marcus. That evening, while sorting through her grandmother's belongings, Lena discovered a dusty leather portfolio at the bottom of a camphorwood box. Undoing the brass clasp, a stack of yellowed sketch paper slid out. Moonlight filtered through the window lattice onto the paper, and the twisted geometric shapes and floating human figures made her gasp. This was clearly an undiscovered treasure of surrealism. "Whose work is this?" Marcus walked in with hot cocoa and curiously picked up a sketch. It was signed, scribbled in charcoal, "Elias." "A friend of my grandmother's," Lena said, flipping through the diary. "Seems like a little-known painter who died 30 years ago." She pointed to a sketch for Memory Labyrinth. "Look at this composition. Isn't it interesting?" Marcus's breathing suddenly quickened, and he stared at the sketch as if he had discovered something new. "It's amazing," he muttered to himself. "This idea of spatial deconstruction, Lena. Do you mind if I take a look?" "Of course not." Lena handed him the entire portfolio. Art should be mutually inspiring. She didn't notice the glint of something strange in Marcus's eyes as he took it. For the next 3 months, Marcus seemed possessed by his muse. He shut himself in his studio and worked at an astonishing pace. As paintings imbued with Elias's unique qualities gradually took shape, Lena was genuinely happy for him. Art critics began to take notice of this unprecedented genius, and pre-sale tickets sold out. Within a week, Director Allen patted Marcus on the shoulder and said, "You will be the Dali of this era." In an interview with Art Weekly, Marcus held Lena's hand and spoke affectionately to the camera, saying, "Without Lena, these works would not exist. She is my muse, the light of my life." Lena sat beside him, gazing into his sincere eyes, and felt that all the effort had been worth it. The conspiracy of preview night. The gallery was ablaze with lights that night, the crystal chandeliers reflecting brilliant light, illuminating the guests' exquisite makeup. Lena, dressed in a burgundy gown, greeted guests at the entrance with a discreet smile, Marcus's works hung on the pristine white walls, each illuminated by spotlights, as if illuminating the artist's talent. "Lena, you've truly created a miracle." Director Allen approached, champagne in hand, his eyes filled with admiration. "You've elevated an unknown painter to such prominence. The entire art world will remember your name." Lena was about to thank him when she heard a commotion in the center of the exhibition hall. Her heart tightened, and she hurried over. The sight before her froze her blood. A long crack had suddenly appeared on the canvas of Marcus's masterpiece, Memory Labyrinth, running from the upper left corner to the lower right. Like a hideous scar, Marcus slumped before the painting, his hands tangled in his hair, his shoulders shaking violently. No, how could this happen? He raised his head, his bloodshot eyes fixed on Lena. "Just now, you were the only one who touched it." The air around them froze instantly, and all eyes focused on Lena. Curiosity, suspicion, accusation, like countless needles piercing her. "I didn't," her voice trembled uncontrollably. "I just checked the frame. Does it take so much?" Forced to check, a shrill female voice rang out. It was Marcus's agent, Sophie. She approached with a tablet, a draft email on the screen. "We found this on Lina's computer. It's from her, to a rival gallery." Lena leaned in close. The words like poisoned daggers. Marcus doesn't deserve these accolades. His talent can't support my curation. When the exhibition is over, I'll ruin his reputation. "That wasn't me," Lena cried out. "It's a forgery." But no one believed her. Marcus clutched his chest, a look of anguish. "Lena, I know you've been under a lot of pressure lately, but how could you?" He was cut off by a sob before he could finish. The guests began to whisper, their phone cameras trained on Lena, flashes flashing before her eyes. "So, it's jealousy. How vicious." Marcus still trusted her so much. The comments flooded in like a tide, drowning her. Director Allen, his face livid, approached and slapped a termination notice into her hand. "Lena, you're fired. The gallery reserves the right to pursue legal action against you." Lena couldn't remember how she left the gallery that night. She only remembered the icy rain outside, which stung her face. Her phone vibrated constantly, and social media notifications poured in like snowflakes. #ViciousX-girlfriend ruins genius painter was trending, with thousands of vicious comments below. Someone had found her address and phone number, and her inbox was flooded with death threats. She didn't dare go back to her apartment. So she walked aimlessly in the rain, dragging her suitcase. Passing a convenience store, the TV screen was replaying the preview news. Marcus said to the camera, "I forgive her. I hope she can get over this soon." His affectionate expression made Lina's stomach churn. The rain intensified, as if washing the world clean. Hiding in a phone booth, Lena dialed her best friend with trembling fingers. But a cold, busy tone came through the receiver. She had been disconnected. Fragments of the truth. The small suburban hotel was dim and damp, the air thick with the smell of mold. Lena curled up on the hard bed, having not slept for 3 days. The woman in the mirror looked haggard, with dark circles under her eyes, her once bright eyes devoid of any luster. She pulled out the camphorwood box she had brought from home and traced the rough wood grain with her fingertips. Her grandmother, before she died, had said, "This contains Mr. Elias's most important things. Be sure to take good care of them." She hadn't paid much attention then. But now she realized there might be more secrets hidden within, at the bottom of the box. Besides the portfolio, there was a leather-bound diary. Lena carefully flipped open the yellowed pages. revealing vigorous handwriting. As she read, her heart beat faster and faster. March 15, 1980. I conceived Memory Labyrinth, using the interweaving of time and space to depict the flow of the subconscious. May 2, 1980. I finalized the color scheme, the collision of cobalt blue and ochre. Like the day and night in my memory, every detail in the diary perfectly matched Marcus's. Memory Labyrinth. And the date on the diary predates Marcus's birth by 5 years. Lina's fingers were cold, and her whole body trembled. It turned out that all that so-called inspiration was pure plagiarism. She forced herself to calm down and recalled Marcus's every move. His excitement when he first saw the sketch, his unusual speed in creating it, his uncanny attention to the portfolio. All the details she had overlooked now connected into a clear thread. Lina remembered that Elias's estate's executor was a lawyer named Simon, whom her grandmother had mentioned several times. She immediately searched online and found the contact information for Simon's law firm. Her palms were sweaty as she dialed the number. Hello. I'm Lina, the granddaughter of a friend of Mr. Elias. She tried to sound calm. I'd like to inquire about his estate. Lawyer Simon's voice was gentle but cautious. Do you have any specific questions? I'm wondering if anyone has inquired about Mr. Elias's manuscripts or paintings recently. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line, and then Lawyer Simon's voice came. 6 months ago, a painter named Marcus contacted me, wanting to know the auction prices of Mr. Elias's unpublished works. I told him that the estate was privately owned and not for sale. After hanging up, Lina slumped in her chair, tears finally streaming. It turned out that Marcus had planned this from the beginning. He approached her, exploited her emotions, stole the treasure she had discovered, and ultimately trampled her into the mud. Those 3 years of sweetness, those vows of love, were all elaborate lies. The rain outside stopped, and moonlight streamed through the shabby window, casting a pale glow on the floor. Lina wiped away her tears, a faint but determined fire igniting in her eyes. She wouldn't be defeated. She would expose the truth and make Marcus pay for his actions. Part 2. Hiding and planning. Hiding in anonymity, tucked away in a quiet alley, a suburban antique shop boasted a wooden sign proclaiming Time Corner. The owner, a gray-haired old woman named Aunt May, looked at the haggard young woman before her and handed her a cup of hot milk. Stay here for now. There's a room available in the backyard. Lina clutched the few hundred yuan she had left in her hand, her voice choking. Thank you, Aunt May. I'll work to pay the rent. In the days that followed, Lina worked as a helper in the antique shop. During the day, she cleaned old porcelain, repaired broken picture frames, and sorted through the mountains of ancient books. Aunt May was a quiet woman, but she always offered a freshly baked cookie when she was feeling down, or quietly reached for the medicine kit when she accidentally scratched herself. At night, Lina would retreat to her small room and study Elias's diary and drawings by the dim light of the desk lamp. She discovered that not only had Marcus plagiarized Memory Labyrinth, but all of his works, praised by critics as highly original, could be traced back to Elias's manuscripts. Some imitated the composition, others appropriated the colors, and some were simply slightly modified copies. This despicable thief, Lina gritted her teeth as she recorded every piece of evidence in her notebook, her fingertips turning white from the effort. She bought a thick art history book and studied it from the beginning, understanding the development of surrealism and comparing Elias's style with that of his contemporaries. She wanted to understand Elias best, so that she could deliver the fatal blow to Marcus at the crucial moment. On weekends, Lena would go to the city library and browse old newspapers and magazines in the art section. She found some scattered reports about Elias, learning that he had worked in an art salon and died in depression due to the lack of recognition for his work. One day, I will let the world know about your talent, Lena whispered to the grainy photo in the newspaper. One evening, Lena created an account called Light Seeker on an art forum and published an analysis of Elias's sketches. She didn't directly mention Marcus, but rather objectively analyzed the artistic value of the unpublished works. Unexpectedly, the next morning, the article was deleted, with a warning stating infringing content. Lena's heartbeat raced. This only confirmed Marcus's guilt. He must be secretly monitoring all information about Elias, fearing someone might discover his secret. Just as Lena felt a glimmer of hope, the shop door opened. An elderly man with a cane stood in the doorway. His graying hair was meticulously combed, and he wore a well-ironed suit. Though a little worn, it still betrayed his former respectability. "Excuse me, are you Miss Lena?" The old man's voice was hoarse, his eyes scrutinizing. Lena was stunned for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, may I ask who you are?" "I'm Alfred, former butler of Murdoch Elias." The old man walked into the shop, his eyes fixed on the photocopied sketch Lena had placed on the table. "I heard about your situation and wanted to see if I could help." Alfred pulled a recorder from his briefcase. "This is what I recorded at Marcus' birthday party last year. He was drunk, and this conversation with his agent, Sophie." Lena pressed play, and Marcus's drunken voice came through. "Once the exhibition is a success, I'll kick Lena out. That fool woman really thought I loved her. Elias's sketch? I hid it all along." The words in the recorder were like a hammer, hammering down on Lena's heart. It turned out he had not only plagiarized, but had also long planned to abandon her. Tears blurred her vision again, but this time they were filled with more anger and determination. "Thank you, Mr. Alfred." Lena gripped the recorder tightly. "I will not allow Mr. Elias to be wronged. Nor will I suffer in vain." Alfred met her determined gaze and nodded. "If Mr. Elias were still alive, he would be proud of you." The prelude to a counterattack, Lena used the money she'd saved from working at an antique shop to register as an independent curator. Her fingers trembled as she received the thin certificate. This was the first, and most crucial, step in her fight back. She began planning an exhibition dedicated to Elias, titled The Forgotten Genius. She knew it was her only way to challenge Marcus. She sent proposals to major galleries, detailing Elias's artistic merit and the significance of the exhibition. Most galleries rejected her, some even bluntly stating, "We won't offend a rising talent like Marcus for an unknown painter." But Lena persisted, believing someone would recognize Elias's value. Finally, a small gallery in the old town responded. The owner, a young woman named Claire, was a former painter who had switched careers and opened a gallery because she was fed up with the unspoken rules of the art world. "I like your proposal," Claire said, sitting across from Lena, her eyes sparkling with sincerity. "Art shouldn't be swayed by fame and fortune. I'm willing to give you this opportunity." Lena was so moved she nearly cried. She squeezed Claire's hand tightly. "Thank you, Claire. I won't let you down." After deciding on a gallery, Lena began selecting cities for the exhibition. She scanned the map. Her sights finally set on the next stop on Marcus's tour west, she would confront Marcus head-on. In the same city, at the same time, Alfred helped her contact Elias's other relatives and friends, securing more unpublished manuscripts and drawings. Lena spent her days in the warehouse, organizing these precious artworks, numbering them, photographing them, and writing captions. She cut her fingers countless times on paper, yet felt no pain. One day, while sorting through Elias's correspondence, Lena found a letter from 30 years ago. The letter came from a painter named Thomas, who mentioned a past collaboration with Marcus. Marcus not only failed to pay him royalties, but also plagiarized his ideas. Lena followed the address on the letter and found Thomas's studio. It was a small, dark, damp basement studio cluttered with picture frames. Thomas, his hair already graying, was overcome with emotion when he saw the letter Lena had brought him. "That bastard Marcus," Thomas' voice trembled with anger. "He was just an assistant, but he secretly copied my designs and then accused me of plagiarism." He pulled a stack of bank transfer records from a drawer. "This is proof he paid me for reference materials back then. I've kept them, hoping to prove my innocence one day." Lena looked at the yellowed receipts, a raging fury welling up within her. Marcus had not only plagiarized Elias, but had also harmed so many innocent people. She carefully stored this evidence. It would be a crucial weapon in her fight back. Marcus soon learned of Lena's planned special exhibition. He immediately held a press conference, tearfully declaring to the camera, "Lena is seeking revenge. She destroyed my exhibition out of jealousy, and now she's trying to tarnish my reputation." Soon after, Lena received a court summons. Marcus sued her for illegal misappropriation of another's estate, demanding a halt to the exhibition's preparations and substantial damages. Lena didn't panic, knowing this was Marcus's usual tactic. She went to court with the authorization document provided by Alfred, a document Elias had signed before his death, granting his friends and descendants the right to handle his artistic legacy. The judge reviewed the legally binding document and dismissed Marcus's lawsuit. As Lena left the courthouse, the sun warmed her face. She knew this was only the beginning. A tougher battle lay ahead. Upon hearing the news of his lawsuit's defeat, Marcus was so enraged that he slammed the vase in his office to the floor. The shards flew everywhere, and one of them scratched the back of his hand, but he seemed oblivious to the pain. "Useless, a bunch of useless," he roared at the lawyer on the other end of the line. "If you can't even handle such a trivial matter, what's the point of keeping you?" Sophie stood by, carefully handing him a tissue. "Marcus, don't be angry. We have other options." She leaned close to Marcus's ear and whispered something. Marcus's expression gradually softened, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "Just do as you say. I'm going to show Lena that she's too young to fight me." In the days that followed, Lena began intensively preparing for the special exhibition. She personally designed the wall colors, selected the lighting angles, and even wrote detailed introductions for each work. Claire also mobilized all her connections to promote the special exhibition. Although small in scale, the unique theme and the enigmatic artist attracted considerable media attention. However, trouble soon arose. First, the printing company called to say they couldn't print the exhibition brochure on time, citing an anonymous report of copyright infringement. Lena knew it must be Marcus's doing. Without hesitation, she took her designs to another printing company, worked through the night, and finally received the brochure the day before the exhibition. Then, the gallery's windows were shattered with rocks. Fortunately, it was after business hours, so no one was injured. Lina's gaze on the shattered glass grew more resolute. She contacted the security company overnight and increased security at the gallery. The day before the exhibition, Lina stood in the empty gallery, gazing at Elias's works hanging on the wall. A mixture of emotions welled up in her. These paintings carried the dreams of a forgotten genius, as well as her own hope and determination. Mr. Elias, tomorrow, the whole world will see your talent, she whispered. The next morning, the special exhibition opened as scheduled. While not as grand as Marcus's touring exhibition, many art lovers and media reporters were in attendance. Lina, dressed in a simple white suit, greeted the guests at the door with a confident smile. At that moment, a swarm of reporters suddenly swarmed over, cameras and recorders in hand, barging questions. Miss Lina, are you holding this special exhibition to exact revenge on Mr. Marcus? Some say you illegally appropriated Mr. Elias's estate. Is that true? Mr. Marcus accuses you of plagiarizing his ideas. What's your response? Lina had anticipated this situation and calmly raised her hand, signaling silence. First, I'm holding this special exhibition to let everyone know about Mr. Elias, a forgotten genius. His works possess immense artistic value and should not be overlooked. She paused, then continued, second, I have the legal right to use Mr. Elias's estate, as evidenced by a court ruling. Finally, regarding the allegation of plagiarism, I'd like everyone to carefully examine Mr. Elias's and Mr. Marcus's works. I trust you will make your own judgment. With that, Lina led the reporters into the exhibition hall. Everyone was stunned when they saw the striking similarities between Elias's decades-old works and Marcus's more recent creations. The reporters were particularly shocked when Lina showed Elias's diary, which detailed the creative process and ideas behind each piece. Just then, Marcus suddenly appeared at the exhibition hall entrance, followed by a group of bodyguards and lawyers. Lina, you liar! Marcus pointed at Lina and shouted angrily, these so-called works of yours are all fakes. You're just trying to ruin my reputation. Lina looked at Marcus's exasperated expression and sneered. Marcus, do you dare say you haven't seen these works? Do you dare say your work isn't influenced by Mr. Elias? She took out the recorder Alfred had given her and pressed play. Marcus's drunken voice echoed through the exhibition hall. Once the exhibition is a success, I'll kick Lina out. That foolish woman. She really thought I loved her. Elias's manuscript. I hid it a long time ago, hearing the recording. Marcus's face paled instantly. He tried to grab the recorder, but was stopped by Lina's security guard. Mr. Marcus, what are you doing? Lina said coldly. Are you trying to destroy the evidence? Reporters raised their cameras to capture the dramatic scene. Marcus, watching the flashing cameras around him, knew he was doomed. He pointed at Lina in frustration. Just wait. Then he turned and fled the exhibition hall in dismay. Watching Marcus's retreating back, Lina breathed a sigh of relief. She knew the battle wasn't over, but she had taken a solid step forward. She believed the truth would eventually come to light, and justice would prevail. The special exhibition was an unexpected success. More and more people came to the gallery to admire Elias's work and learn about his story. Art critics also praised Elias's work, calling him a lost gem of surrealist art. Lina's name also resurfaced. People no longer remembered the vicious ex-girlfriend, but instead remembered the independent curator who bravely fought for justice and truth. However, Marcus refused to give up. Unwilling to see his reputation tarnished, he began to plot an even more sinister scheme. He knew that Lena cared most about Elias's work, so he decided to target her there. One night, a thief hired by Marcus broke into the gallery, intending to steal Elias's manuscripts and drawings. Fortunately, Lena had anticipated this and installed hidden surveillance cameras throughout the gallery, recording the thief's every move. The next morning, after seeing the surveillance footage, Lena immediately called the police. The police quickly apprehended the thief and found evidence that Marcus had hired him. Marcus was taken into police custody for investigation on suspicion of theft and abetting a crime. In court, Marcus tried to argue, but after police presented surveillance footage and the thief's testimony, he could no longer deny his actions. Ultimately, Marcus was sentenced to prison on multiple charges, and his artistic career came to an end. Lena stood outside the courtroom, watching Marcus being taken away in a prison van. She felt no sense of revenge, only relief. She had finally secured justice for herself and for Mr. Elias. After the exhibition, Lena donated Elias's works to the National Gallery, allowing more people to appreciate these treasures. She also established a foundation to support talented young artists who lack opportunities. One sunny afternoon, Lena visited the National Gallery and stood before Elias's Memory Labyrinth. The painting, now restored, had regained its brilliance. She imagined she could see Mr. Elias's smile of satisfaction. Just then, a young girl approached her, holding a painting. "Ms. Lena, this is my painting. I'd appreciate some advice." The girl's eyes were filled with anticipation. Lena took the painting and examined it carefully. Though still a little immature, it was full of spirit and creativity. She smiled and said, "Very good, very thoughtful. Keep up the hard work. I believe you'll become an excellent painter." The girl thanked her happily and ran away. Lena watched her back, her heart filled with hope. She knew that the legacy of art is endless, and her mission is to enable more talented people to shine. The setting sun shone through the art gallery windows, illuminating Lena's figure, casting a golden glow on her. A happy and contented smile filled her face, as if telling the world that as long as we uphold justice and truth, a brighter tomorrow will surely be upon us.